interruption. You had about 5.5 minutes left in your first round. Would you like to start over, or what was going to be most comfortable for you?
No.
Okay.
Please take me back to where
Okay.
I stopped.
The rest of the council members, okay too,
Well,
right?
you have 5 minutes, the rest of
Yeah.
us will
We got
continue.
10. Oh, okay,
We have
okay.
our full 10
Okay,
minutes.
okay. So I just continue it, right? Don't
Yeah.
don't need the repeat it.
No, no,
Okay.
no.
All right. Okay. What do you think about the most important issue for cities are facing right now?
I think the most important issue that we're facing right now would have to be getting our businesses back up from the coronavirus pandemic that we all suffered. I think that business retention is very important for the city, for any city for that matter. And I think that also I feel very strongly about not just the businesses but the residents. What do they need to come out of this pandemic that we were all in? So I think the most important issue the city right now is the businesses, the crime that is happening, employee retention. I think that's very important too, because you can't do a job if you don't have the employees that you need. And as a city, I think that we have lost a lot of good people, and I just feel like that's one of the major issues right now, that we need to figure out a way how to retain our employees, how to come back up, and how to help our businesses.
Thank you, Karina. Okay, my last question is, if you get appointed, you're still going to for the November 11th, the election, or if doesn't get appointed, you're still going to do the election, okay. Or it's fine. The answer no, no. Just the scenario let the people can consider about it. You know. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to answer that question because I've never been part of a council, so I don't know how the whole dynamics of it, you know, how I'm going to do and how, you know, if it's something for long term that I want to do. So I would leave that open right now because I can't give you a straight answer because I don't know.
Understand. Thank you.
Councilman Harrington?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Karina, for applying. I really appreciate when people step up for service. I appreciate that. Thank you. First, as a small business owner, I know Tony went into it a little bit. Let's pretend we're not in COVID. I know you've been a business owner a long time, so you kind of know what the city does right and what the city doesn't do right. Can you kind of tell me, as a business owner, how you think the city treats businesses and how we could, what we're doing right and how we could improve things?
Ooh. Okay.
It's not loaded at all.
I think the presence of the city council is very important for businesses. I think our businesses need a city council that's going to say, I'm here, I'm listening. There might be times where we can't do much for them, and I mean, it just happens. But just the fact that you're there and you listen and maybe you try to help or you try to come to a solution. I have had a couple of city council members show up to the business and say, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. And just that one simple act alone meant the world to me. And it meant the world to you know, to just know that if I needed something, they would be there. So I think the presence of the city council to have a little more open communication with the businesses. I know that life happens and that we're all busy, but I think businesses want to know that they can count on us. Businesses want to, well, we're on you guys, sorry, but businesses want to know that the city council is open to suggestions. I know you guys just did grants for them, and that's very admirable because it was much, much needed. So I think I haven't seen that much of that interaction with the council and the businesses. I think we can do better at that, honestly.
Thank you. So next question. Yesterday, I think I heard you say that you wanted to kind of be a bridge or like build bridges and be a liaison to underrepresented communities. Can you kind of explain your experience, how you would do that as a council member?
I have been at El Pablo for 18 years. And the time that I've been there, I've met many, many, many people, customer base. Some customers that have been customers of El Pablo before I even got there. And I've talked to them sometimes and I said, do you know who your city council members are? Do you live in San Gabriel? Yes. Do you know who they are? No, I don't. And that's sad, you know? So I feel like we are not, as a city, doing enough for the working class. I feel like we're not doing enough for our youth. I feel like we're not doing enough for our veterans. And there is this class of residents that they have children, and those children are gonna get to vote one day. And we wanna have that relationship with them because we want to have them vote, because we want them to have a voice so that we know as a city or you as a council what it is that the city wants. And so you know as a council that you can listen to the common folks and say, hey, well, you know, sometimes people don't have the time to write public comments. They don't, or they don't know how. And so I think that for me it's important to represent that group of underrepresented people in the city. And I think I can do that. I know a lot of people. I can't even go to the supermarket without them saying, oh, there's the Pablo girl. You know, so, and they feel comfortable with me. They know. So I feel like if I was in city council, they saw me, you know, and they knew that I was there, it would open up a way for them to feel comfortable and to get to know more about the city.
Thank you. Another follow-up from yesterday, I know we didn't have a lot of time. You stated that city services and improving our mental health to the community is something that's very important to you. Do you have any ideas what the city could do, or what you would like to do on the council with that?
Unfortunately, mental health hit my family at one point with my daughter, and I remember trying to find help at her school, San Gabriel Mission High School. And I remember them telling me, well, you gotta call county or take her to your doctor. And sometimes the youth, they don't wanna talk to their parents. Mm-hmm. You know, they want to have maybe another person, another friend or somebody to talk to. And I feel like if we could maybe get more people involved in the community, maybe volunteer parents and teenagers, and maybe get the police officers involved, and maybe get a group together that says, okay, we're gonna put this group together, so a hotline maybe that they can call. I know that there's already one, but maybe a local one, you know, just for the city so that they don't feel that they're lost somewhere in the system in LA County, which is huge. Maybe something local. Maybe you can call a certain officer. Maybe we can get volunteer doctors that are going to be available to us, or put something together and make it available as a resource for parents and teenagers. That is something dear, close to my heart.
Thank you. More time. So let me see. So I think I don't have a lot of other questions, so I would just like to ask you, we didn't get a lot of time yesterday. Is there one or two things you'd like to tell the council or tell the audience, kind of what you'd like to accomplish while you're here, or anything we need to know about you or you want to express that hasn't been asked?
My only desire is to serve. Like I always try to serve behind closed doors because I'm a firm believer that the good that you do, you don't have to announce it, you know? And I've always felt that. I've always wanted to give back to my community and I wanted to serve. And I do a lot. So my whole purpose of applying is to have an opportunity to serve, and to be available to the community if they need me.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Councilwoman Menchaca?
Uh-oh.
Well, thank you, Karina, for applying and for your patience today.
Thank you.
Much appreciated, and thanks for your understanding. So my first question is, as a longtime resident, you've been in the city for a long time. Why are you applying now? And is there a particular policy that you would like to see implemented or issue? You mentioned mental health, but is there something else outside of maybe more policy related that you would like to see? So it's two questions. Why now, and any particular policy you'd like to see?
I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. I think that this opportunity came up, and I dwelled on it. Trust me, sleepless nights, can I do it? Should I do it? And I just felt like something compelled me, that this was a perfect opportunity for me to go ahead and try, at least. As far as policies go, like I said, one of the most things that are close to my heart is, mental health awareness and mental health issues. But also, with all this hate that's going on and all these things that are going on in the world right now itself, I would like to see policies done. I know you guys have the HEAR Commission, which is great, but also, I don't know, something that can bring together, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what working class you are, just bring the community together. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing to go to an event and just see all kinds of people from, all kinds of walks of life in the community. So as far as policies go, I am very interested in the mental health issue, but other than that, I can't tell you like a specific policy that I want to happen.
Thank you. I know you are a big champion for public safety.
Yes.
I just wanted to hear a little bit more about your perspective, your viewpoints. What would you like to see changed? If you had like a magic wand, what would you like to see in public safety, whether it's fire, police, or fire or police?
I think the city is kind of run like a business, and you want your employees to be happy, because if your employees are miserable when they go to work, they're not going to do a very good job. So I think that we need to, I'm not saying let's make everybody happy, because obviously we can't, but we need to maybe find ways to recruit and retain officers, recruit and retain fire department, hear them out. I know you guys have done that. I'm not saying that you don't. But find ways where maybe we can make their job easier, which is kind of hard, but I know that we would like to at least listen to them and see what can we do to help you as a city? What can we do to help you recruit more people? What can we do to help you retain officers or firemen? A graduating class of fire department, like what can we do to get you to want to come to San Gabriel and work with us and stay with us? Just things like that.
Thank you. So if we magically got like $1 million for the city, where would you want us to spend it? What areas? It could be facilities, it could be wages, it could be, just,
In no particular order, I think facilities would be number one. I think City Hall, a little bit of repairs, and we need to have City Hall repairs, elevators. Just,
I agree.
so I think our, some of our facilities, maybe some of our parks, add more to the open spaces. Open spaces are very important to families. So we want to have those safe. We want to have those working. So I think open spaces. And then, maybe go around to our departments, like the police department can use a new over parking permit machine that I've been advocating for years. Something a little, that's going to give you change and you can use a card with. So just little things, I think that we can spread out the money so that everybody gets a little bit, but then we also do good and just upgrading some things.
How much time do I have, Mark?
About 5 minutes?
Okay. So you are a businesswoman. You've been a businesswoman for a long time, and I'd like to see if you can share some of those lessons learned when you run a small business, some of the skills that you've developed that you think that could really apply to serving as a council member. Can you share some of those qualities?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think the city as a whole is run as a business. We have employees, we have our small businesses, we have our organizations, and you have to keep a balance on everything. Number one priority as a business, I think as a business operator, number one priority is your employees. You always have to look out for your employees because the company doesn't run without employees. So I think that we need to, I have learned that there's a little dependency on the employees, but at the same time, if they're happy, your production is happy. Your production is good, your clients are treated well. And so to me, teamwork is number one that I've learned. I wasn't always used to working as a team, but I learned it through the 18 years. And I learned to lead by example, which is number one thing. I had to lead by example. I can't just boss people around. I have to show them, this is how it's done. If you need help, I'm here for you. And the gratitude that you get from your employees from that, and the gratitude that you get for the customers is just great. That's the number one thing that I've learned. Also, the customers make your business too. So being open to your customers, being available to your customers, problem solving was number one issue. That was a big issue for me because I was like, what do I do? But I learned, no problem. Don't dwell on the problem. Fix it. And then go back and then see what was wrong and how you could have avoided getting there in the first place. So that was a big one because it was just like somebody, complained about something, I would first go and see like, why did this happen, right? But then I realized, fix the problem first, make sure your customer's happy, and then go back and analyze why. Why did that happen? What could you have done to avoid that? That's another.
Kind of like our network tonight.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I'll end it there. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rivera,
Thank
and
you.
we are grateful for your flexibility tonight.
Thank you.
Our next applicant will be John Wu. Good evening, Mr. Wu. Thanks for coming back.
Good evening. Weekend takes long wait.
Councilman Harrington will be asking you your first set of questions tonight.
Okay.
Good evening, John. Thank you for applying. We always appreciate it when people step up to serve the community, so thank you from
Thank
the
you.
council. I wanted to ask you, we've had, most cities have had an increase in crime, probably over at least the last year and a half, if not longer. For a long period, we experienced not terrible crime, so it was on a downtrend for many years, but it's really spiked lately. One thing that I think the council has voted and asked the city manager to do is to look into being able to prosecute misdemeanors. I want to see what your position would be on that, because it's going to come to council hopefully the next couple months. So if paneled, you would be on council when that comes in front of you.
First of all, I have an opportunity to have a tour to our St. Gabriel Police Station. And I noticed that we actually had a detention room, but it's now for the inventory, just like stocking the stuff there. It's not really in use. So any criminal that been caught probably will be assigned, maybe sent to the Alhambra and other facility. I would say I would support that point, because the criminal will come back again and again if there's no enough, significant or some actions that shows our city is against them. So I personally would support that point.
Thank you. Let's assume you're only here for 8 months and you're not running. What's one thing you'd like to accomplish while you're here, while you're on council?
You mean what I want to accomplish?
Yeah, in the next 8 months or so.
Well, actually, there are several things I would like to accomplish. I think the most important thing will be try to improve the infrastructure, the speed of improving the road. Of course, the budget is also one of the top issue too, resident safety, and also the community engagement. So there are 4 major things I would like to focus on if I would have the terms to serve as a council member. And I do, from my experience and seeing that, well, I have to say thank you that been doing so good job that I have seen our city engineer, I think Greg Binkt, that he actually has done some videos and sharing that what he has done for the public works. So we have we cost less and we actually pave more road, which is a very good move. And we actually have renovations on the park, which is Roosevelt recently, and it costs, I think he said it cost nothing to the city because it's been sponsored by another company or entity. So we are actually moving everything in the right directions, which is saving more and making more better result. So I think infrastructure is one of the things, because if we would like to invite more businesses coming to town, coming to our city to invest, infrastructure is one of the things the people, the investor, the business person, even the resident home buyers, they are so focusing on. So this is one of the things. And second, I would say the budget. I know the budget is so hard that everyone was talking about that. There's 2 ways to get the budget issues resolved, which is we save more, another one is we cut more. But both are not really a great solution, because we cannot really simplify that issues into 2. There are so many reasons that we have the budget issues, but at least that I can work with our council members that we can prioritize what is the most important to spend first. And we should really help everyone, because we have only one bowl of the resource and we have to feed every mouth. And they still keep hungry. So the only way is we put the money in the right place and in a good return. As I mentioned and also stated on my resume, I'm the real estate broker and I specialize in commercial and industrial properties. And I do calculation all the time. And the most important, the people they're so concerned is the return on their investment. So our city money, our tax money will go to some places that will bring better return. And even that is a long term. So we can make the goose lays golden eggs for our city. And I feel grateful that I do see the progress is moving so significantly. And so I think the budget will be the second issue that I will be working on with you. And the third one will be the resident safety. I just heard that there's a public comment. It's about we have more guns, more ghost guns. We have more crimes, and everything is increasing. And Chief Harris, that he had I saw his YouTube too. He said he doesn't want to sugarcoat it, the case. The criminal case is actually increasing. So he encouraged people, we should have like a neighbor watch. We should download the apps. We also need to, do the community alert, which is really good. But most importantly is we should really think about that how many police officers we will need for our city. A very significant thing is we have many new projects going on, including the mixed-use buildings on Valley Boulevard. We also have a Curio by Hilton is building right now. We will definitely facing more people, more population moving in our city. And do we have enough police officers on duty right now? As far as I know, that we probably need 57, and now we're down to 50. I know that they are suffering from recruiting the new police officer right now. So that, as a St. Gabriel resident, that is one of my concerns too. We need to have a good program that will attract the capable, integrity police officer coming to our city and serve us. And that is the main purpose of the tax money going to. So same as the fire department. I know fire department, they have like a station 51, 52. Actually, there was a proposal saying that we will have the third one on the east side of the city of St. Gabriel, but so far it's not really moving yet. But since we are having more high-rise building, which is higher than 5 stories, then it could be another issue that the fire, we will need assistance from other cities that come with like a ladder truck, because we have the fire engines. I believe that we have 3. So I believe that the public safety is one of the largest expenses to our city. I do believe that this is an expense that we cannot avoid, but a safe city, it generates more peace of mind, that people will feel comfortable and they feel confidence that to invest in St. Gabriel. So I think this is really essential. So I would say the resident safety, make people feel safe to live in here. I have my child here. I want them to grow up happily. And the last one I will focus on is the community engagement. I think this is really the tough one because it's so hard to, sometimes it's really difficult. So I mentioned yesterday that I treat my role like a bridge builder. So what I've been doing is to unite our community, and I'm doing right now. And I know the language, culture, or maybe some reason that will cause a gap, but such as like a business development, they may have a gap because with the residential, because residents want a quiet enjoyment. So there's something that we have to agree to disagree things. I think the community engagement is vital to a healthy city. So I want to focus on that, and I should have work with you, and we try to, as a council members, that we set up the policy for the staffs and fund the programs that increase the engagement too. So as a St. Gabriel resident, I'm bringing my experience, and I hope that we can just help in business engagement. We are bridging the community and business together so we can improve the quality of life for the citizens.
Yeah, I know we have a couple seconds left. I was just going to say that you answered all 4 of the rest of my questions I was going to ask you. No, but thank you. I mean, I've been on 11 years, and I only asked for 8 months, and I haven't been able to do that in 11 years. Thank you.
Thank you, you made my day.
And Councilwoman Menchaca?
Great. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Tom.
you.
In your application, you mentioned that you've been a resident for about 20 years.
Yes.
And so, two questions.
Mhm.
Why now? Why apply now for city council? And is there any particular policy or issue that you want to focus on? Just one?
Just one.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so we can narrow it down, because I have a lot of questions too. So.
Thank you so much for making that very simple. So why now? Because I owed enough. Well, the reason is actually I have been engaged in the business community for a long, long time, even 10, 12 years ago, that we were so hard to pushing all the business owners together, become a committee, and we want to make the city, the business more prosperous. But why now? Because now my kid is 7. She is, I don't really need that much time spending on her. This is one of the reasons. And second reason is I really feel that I'm obligated. I make her live here. I want to make sure she will have a happy childhood. And if I stand up, I'm sending a message to her that this is the city where we live in right now, and your dad is doing something good for the citizen. I hope that will be the same. She can inherit some of the, volunteer spirit into our community in the future. I think I should be a good sample for her, even she is only 7. And second, and I think I do see the road is bumpy, but now is paving. Everything is getting better, and I feel that this is somehow I can contribute my time and my efforts and do something giving back to our city, because this is the city that I've been living in. That as I told you yesterday, that I was a sushi chef, and that was my first job in St. Gabriel. Then I become a business owner. I become a teacher, instructor. Everything here so important that connect with my life. So I feel that I have a mission. I would like to join your team and make our city better place to live.
Any policy in particular you're interested in?
Yes. I think the policy that I want to make sure that safety is the number one. I mean, infrastructure is important, but safety even more important. I mean, we may have a beautiful city, but I mean, if we do not have, enough protection, and we have to worry about that someone will break in the home, maybe there'll be some people, we say the criminal, they will just come in and they have some illegal activities. Actually, that is so close to our city because we have very high density. This is a real high density city, and we will actually have more people moving in, and we have more travelers. So I think the most important thing is to make sure that our law enforcement will have enough capability, and they should be well trained, to take care of our, residents, and we should have more engagement with the school too. So the children, they will be learning how to pay attention on, public safety. They want to stay in some of the places who they can ask for help, and how they can just stay away from trouble. So that is go through the education, but I personally would believe, safety, to enhance the safety policy will be the priority.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So San Gabriel, as you know, is a multi-ethnic, multi-generational city.
Yes.
And we've had our incidents of API hate, in particular taking place as recent as the 2020 election, with racial slurs being hurled at candidates and unfounded election fraud allegations documented. How would you create a safe space so our API community and any other ethnic group that are targets of hate could find, like, the city is being supportive, like that safe space, as we say?
Yes, I think social awareness is the key to solve the issue. I mean, the API group that you may see, this is a group that people, they are not really working together because everyone is busy. So the neighbor watch may happen in some community, but some of the community you may see is really not effective because people, they don't really care about their neighbors. I mean, that is two reasons. One is language barrier, that they don't really know how to start or initiate a neighbor watch program. And second, that is they do not want to communicate with the law enforcement and do not want to communicate with the people that living around them that may protect their interest and their property, their safety. So I think the education will be the key, that telling the API group, especially we have so many, we have so diverse. You know, I am the person that speak several languages. I speak English, Cantonese, Taiwanese, you know, Mandarin. I was born in Hong Kong. I have been spoken to many of the friends that speak different language, and they do have some voice, but they do not want to voice it out because the language barrier, because the cultural gap. They feel fear of talking to someone that can solve their problem. I would like to be that role and to help them if they have any language problem, or we can just go through the public channel. For example, YouTube, you know, social medias. We broadcast the message to them that we are here for them, and no worry about, you know, if they have something to say and some kind of threats they feel, then they should voice it out. And we are creating the channel. And I know that you have been doing that so well, and I would like to enhance that part as a partner with council members.
Thank you. How much time do we have?
3 minutes?
Okay. So I know you've kind of talked about businesses involved with businesses. I believe you have your own
Oh, yes,
business
yes.
too.
Okay.
Is there something specifically within the 3 minutes that you would want to maybe lead or champion to help our local businesses? Because we do have a very diverse group of local businesses too. But is there something in particular that you have in mind that you think could really lift up, especially during COVID, our local businesses?
Yes, I think retain the business and attract business will be the majority things for our city. So as a council members, I will be doing the things that passing the message to visit the business owners, because I have been shopping, I'm the diner, I have been consuming in this city so much. So it's hard to tell me that, John, you have never tried any food somewhere in the San Gabriel. I tried them almost everywhere. But the most important thing is I want to make sure that they got a good platforms that we can broadcast that to more people, not only the people in our city, but also nationwide, even global wide. So I think internet will be the best. I mean, people have to come here and enjoy the beauty of diverse. But the food, we have so many, hospitality business like a hotel. That is a brand name to our city. I really want them to know this is the place where they visit, they will love, they can try everything. And one thing I would like to share with you, that before I decided to apply for this position, I have done 3 annual conventions for my association, which attract more than 1,000 people participate in 2008, 2012, and 2018. And I generate the income for the hotels is more than 100,000. But this is nothing to do with, the things, because I just want to share with the members from all over the places, including the friends from other countries, that this is the city that you can access everything delicious, convenience, and fun. So I want to make our city stand out and to become reputable and become a brand name to the world.
I like your slogan.
Thank you.
Delicious, what was it? Delicious?
delicious, you know,
There was 3 words you used, delicious and then
delicious,
welcoming? or-
delicious, fun, and,
Fun.
you know, accessible.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Uh,
So,
Vice Mayor Ding?
Thank you, John, to this application, the interview. And yeah, you already answered a lot of the question. It's pretty good. Mike, it's still focused the city current. Did you know about our current city, the financial position? Is it deficit, or is it surplus, or is it enough the reserve fund? Or then another question, how do you have any idea balance the budget?
yes, I do have some understanding about that, the budget and the financial status of our city. That I totally understand that we are putting a big pies on different plates. So we have the pension retirements, we have the salaries, and we have the pavement. So every general funds so far, we are improving. That I know before there was a big deficit, but with the contribution of our current city councilmen, city members, then the things has already been improved. So of course, we still have something we should pay attention, which is if we are keep increasing the more people, especially more staff for the law enforcement part, then we definitely will have more expense, but we need them. So how we can balance, we are all talking about the break-even point, we are talking about how to balance the budget things. But I believe if we can prioritize everything, we can put the money in the most urgent and most effective in returns, and we should not really let anyone feel that they've been left out. I mean, this is somehow that we have a commitment with any party, any community, then we should fulfill that. But meanwhile, this is city's obligations and their responsibility to get the problem resolved. We should not really let any other groups to feel that they should sacrifice because the city is in difficult on financial. So that is my idea.
Thank you, John. Next question is if we have some surplus or grant, maybe for example $1 million, for you, so you say you want to balance, so what's the first issue you want to put on this reserve money or not a reserve, it's a grant or surplus. So how do we put on if we have extra?
Well, if we have a surplus, yes, then we should really think about, do we still have any debts? I mean, somehow maybe we have loans, we have some money that we should return, but the most important thing to me is the ranking, the credit ranking of our city. That how our city been ranking just like a FICO score as a people. If we will be a better rating city in the future, that we will be able to get a lower loan for any reason in the future, or if we need to issue bonds for the future infrastructure, education, or for anything that we can think of long-term that makes the city better and prosperous in the future, then we should think about how to improve the credit ranking of the city. So if we do have a surplus, of course we should, make sure that all staff or party or anyone that we have we are obligated to take care of them, they are being taken care of. And also we should put more efforts on the infrastructure things, because I always say this is a shiny superstar city, but I hope that we will have a better we have a better chance to beautify the whole street and make the things more complete. So we are not driving a luxury car, but we still have a roll-up windows. Then I hope that we can just put the money and make sure that when we have a 5-star hotels and we have another 5-star hotels and we have a high value mixed-use condos, then we actually have a same level of the street amenities. So the people who run business there, they feel proud to be a part of the city. They said, I have a business in St. Gabriel. That means they are someone is so they can make a big fortune, big profit from here. I want them to feel that way. Also, the beautifying city, I know that we actually have a career by Hilton, and they are doing the underground, but I hope the Del Mar Street that we have so many distribution poles, that should be removed someday. I know this will be a dream or a long-term goal, but I hope, with my age right now, then I will see someday the things can be removed and make the street clean and neat. So I hope that money can go to the infrastructure and make the city looks more unified.
I know you are a realtor, but this question, I think it's maybe more have knowledge for the city development. We have our mission district, so, and the mission playhouse too. So,
Yes.
did you have any idea? But first of all, the current the pandemic, we are lucky have the Blossom Market, but the rest of the restaurants still closed on this district. So, have any idea plan to for the future?
Yes, I have to say, well, Blossom Market is a great idea that has a very high, it's just like a celebrity in our city that people's getting to know from social medias. And the young people, they're using their cell phone and they just sharing the photos with their, and I think the mission district, this is somewhere that we are so proud of because it comes with it's really a historical buildings. We have a playhouse like this. We need to reactivate we should make this like a very prosperous market, which means we should be putting here not only for the original style, but we should having some new bloods. I can make an example that in Koreatown, there are several old buildings. It looks really, really old, but they just put something really new there. They have more Asian style things in that, in that district. So they call the Miracle Miles. And that generates tons tax income for that city and for that place. And they actually, that is reactivated the whole old things to new, but they still keep the old elements that people so love and falling in love with. So I think that will be a good idea. Of course, that will be we probably need to talk more about that later, but I believe this will be a good trend if we have more people, newer idea, younger generation business moving into this district. And I think the city, if we can just focus on the community, business communities in this area, and we should have a certain funds. If we have enough money, we should really help them to jumpstart the business. And once they success, our city success too. So that will be the win-win situation.
Thank you, John.
90 seconds left.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wu.
Well, thank you. Well, it's really good to be heard. And I know that, every community, their voice will be heard too. So I feel like, this is how the true color of St. Gabriel looks like. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, our last applicant will be Richard Shea. Good evening, Mr. Shea.
Good evening.
I have to ask you a quick question in the interest of transparency. If the city council selects you as a council person, I hope you're aware that you would have to resign as a police officer with the city of San Gabriel. So I want you to, I know you probably already figured that out, but I do want you to be aware of that going into that. So if you're prepared to make that trade-off ahead of time.
Okay, very well.
Thank you very much. And Councilwoman Menchaca will be giving you your first questions tonight.
I just wanted to correct, you said police officer, it's a police reserve.
Reserve police officer. He's still technically an employee of the city, so he can't have an employee. But thank you for correcting.
Great. Well, welcome, and thank you for being here, Richard.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the quiet time in the room, and I ate all the snacks.
Yeah, it was probably a little longer than you expected. Richard, I know you've been a resident for a long time here. You've served as a reserve officer for 20-plus years. So why now? Why apply for city council now? And is there a particular policy or issue that you're focused on?
I have dedicated the past 20 years volunteer my time to keep this community safe. But I think with the pandemic that it has impacted the city, and I think the city faces many challenges. And I recognize that I have other work experience and knowledge that I could better serve the city in a different way. And that is why I chose to switch paths, and I want to serve the city in a different way other than, the public safety.
Is there a policy that you're focused on?
No, I don't have any specific policy. I come in with no agendas. The city has many challenges, from public safety to our finance and all that. And my goal is obviously, we all have perspectives on issues, but my goal is to find the consensus. We can all agree to disagree, but to find consensus for the benefit of the city and to move forward together. Okay.
We have quite a few businesses in our community. They're very diverse. With regards to services and the ethnic makeup. Are there any specific suggestions that you would like to bring to the table, since you have been out in the streets for so long? I think you probably know our community better than most people. But our businesses in particular, is there something that we could be doing better that you think you can bring to the table if you were appointed?
Well, I think San Gabriel, we have a very diverse business community, especially I think our Asian foods are well known in the area. However, if you look at the next city, Alhambra, and you look at Arcadia, they also have similar type of restaurants. And so we have to figure out a way to how to market that. How to make ourselves different from the other cities. So for example, I think we did a food truck festival the other day, and I think that's successful. We want to set ourselves apart, okay? Otherwise, we're just looking at, people can go to Alhambra, they can eat Arcadia, and so I think we need to set that apart. And the other thing that we need to do is also increase the diversity of our businesses. There has been suggestions that there's too much restaurants, Asian restaurants and whatnot. And I think, if for the long term, that the city definitely would benefit from a more diverse, dining cultures maybe, or different business in the city.
Thank you. San Gabriel's residents, they're multi-ethnic, multi-generational, but as recent as the 2020 election, we saw a significant API hate, specifically a lot of racial slurs being hurled at candidates. And there was actually what I consider unfounded election fraud allegations documented. How would you create a safe space for our API community and other ethnic groups that have been targets of hate?
Well, I think the key idea is that it's through education. Okay? A lot of what we have seen, the discriminations, the racial slurs, it's due to for lack of better word, ignorance. Okay, the lack of understanding of another culture, and I think through education, about introduction to other cultures and everything, and communications. Okay, to communicate. They may have different views about that, and people may have lack of understanding about something, and that creates fear. And so I thought the best way to do that is not to run away from it, but confront the challenge, okay, and educate people. I think when you educate people, people can see that, and hopefully that we can eliminate that. And also, there's certainly a lot of misinformation out there, and again, I think that can be countered with education.
Agree. Transparency has been one of the primary goals of our city and this council. Do you see areas where we could increase transparency? And if so, how would we address that?
Well, I think the council has done a very good job up to this point about transparency. I think we can use the selection process for the city council applicants. For an example, everything's very transparent. We are sitting out in the open. The result is posted right away. And so I think in that regard, we have been very transparent. And everything's been posted on the internet, on the city's website. The agendas are there, the reports are there. And so I believe the city council has done a very commendable job as far as being transparent.
Great, thank you. That concludes my questions.
Councilman Harrington? I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Ding?
Okay. Hi, Richard. Yeah, okay. Thank you. You're living, I know you, based on your application, you're living the St. Gabriel almost 20 years, and it's the reserve officer 20 years. So I thank you to do the reserve officer for us. And for me, if you got elected, so maybe I lost your good reserve officer for our city, but because the conflict interest. Okay, but that's good too if you get a chance to get a council member, right? And I saw you not just a reserve police officer, you're a lawyer. You served the military too, right?
That's correct. I served 5 years in the U.S. Army, and I was commissioned as a first lieutenant and then a captain. Mm-hmm. So I served about 5 years in the U.S. Army as a legal officer, JAG.
Oh, okay. So a lot of experience. Okay, you own the business, and also right now you're working for the county, right?
Correct. I work for the office of the county council for the Los Angeles County, and I am assigned to the Justice and Safety Division. And the agencies that my division handles would include all the public safety related agencies, from probation to public defenders, the district attorney's office, and probation and sheriff's department.
So it looks like it's a lot of experience. So my current, really want to asking your question, do you know that our current city financial situation, for example, it's deficit or surplus, or have how much the reserve fund, or the future, if you get appointed, how do you, because this couple months we need to balance the budget.
Well, I think the state's audit last year has pretty much indicated from the state's perspective where we are. And I think there are certainly a lot of issues and challenges facing the city. With the pandemic, that a stable tax base that would generate revenues are not there anymore. the tourism, our hotel taxes. And so in that regard, we also have, the pension, the retiree health expenses, and all those issues that must be addressed. So yes, I am aware of the financial challenges facing the city.
Okay. And if we have the, like, $1 million grant or surplus, how do you, like, your first issue is for the, what's the, you want to spend the money for the surplus, if we have the surplus or grant?
Well, I think if we have a surplus, I think the first thing we need to do is to allocate a portion of it for our, the city's financial reserve, sort of like your rainy day fund. And then to the extent that we have other needs for the cities, we have to prioritize them based on the urgency needs of the city to allocate, which expenditure we want to address first. So that's how I would spend the surplus money, but I would have reservation about spending it all. But I would certainly want to set aside a certain portion for reserve and then prioritize the spending based on the urgency and the needs of the city.
Yeah. And how many minutes?
6 minutes.
Oh, 6 minutes. Okay. Okay. So yeah, you have a lot of good experience. Yeah. Also, if you got elected, how do you work with the colleague? To maybe have the different opinion, different idea, and work together for the important item. It's like even if you disagree, how do you let the things going on solve the problem?
Okay. I recognize that as somebody who has worked in public sectors for a considerable number of years, it has always been a team concept. And a team concept means that we need to communicate with each other. We can all agree to disagree on certain issues, but we all have to keep in mind that we are here to serve the city, and we need to keep the best interests of the city in mind. And to that end, we need to communicate with each other and trying to see if we can find common grounds. And if we can find common grounds, we can build on that and move forward with whatever that we need to do to address the issues or the problems in the city. So that would be my suggestion. That would be my approach, actually. Communicate with each other, find common ground, and move forward instead of dwelling on our differences.
Thank you, Richard. Last question. I still have time, right? But it's a last simple question, but yesterday I don't have chance asking you. If you got appointed, did you still go into the November election? Or if you didn't get appointed, you were willing to go into the November election? I don't take any position, just asking the question, yes or no.
Well, I think at this time it would be that if I am appointed, I want to, do the best job, and then I intend to run on the record, my record in that regard when it comes to the election.
Thank you, Richard.
And now you're up, Councilman Harrington.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping up, Richard. We really appreciate it, the volunteering for this. I know it's been a process, but thank you. So I'll just follow up a little bit on what Councilmember Ding was asking about the election. So if you were going to run, I just kind of I've asked a few people this, what would be like your 30-second spiel that you would say to someone at the door, like why should we vote for Richard?
Okay. That I understand the cities. I understand the city's challenges facing the city based on my years of experience working as a reserve police officer, and that I am dedicated and committed to serving the city. and I have knowledge and experience that would, better serve the city. And that would be my opening line to the person who opens the door on the other side.
Perfect, thank you. So I did want to clarify, I think last night, I hope you misunderstood my question, but I was asking last night about the council has voted to ask the city manager to look into prosecuting misdemeanor crimes. And I just wanted to clarify, I think I think your answer was something along the lines of locking everyone up is not the answer. But my question is really goes to, I don't really mean to lock people up, but I'm looking more like for consequences to actions like committing crimes. So if we came back and it came to a vote and we wanted to send it forward, would you support the option of having a city prosecutor that would prosecute misdemeanors? Because it's really just about discretion, not about prosecuting everybody.
Okay. I think with the current district attorney's controversial policy regarding prosecution or non-prosecution of certain crimes and the no cash bail policy, I certainly support and applaud the concept of looking for an alternative. And I think that would be a very novel approach to do that, because I think other cities, Los Angeles and other cities, have their own city prosecutors to do that. At the same time, I would also evaluate what would be the fiscal impact to the city. Does that require the hiring of a city prosecutor on a part-time basis, or with our current city attorney's firm hire somebody to handle that? So I would also look at the fiscal impact. But while I'm not an expert in that regard, I believe there's a section of the government code that says that in order to do that, you may need to get the consent of the district attorney.
Yep.
The person whose policy resulted in having to come up with this approach to address the increased crime and the lack of accountability for people who committed crimes. And I think that's going to be a challenge, and it's not insurmountable, but it will be a challenge to persuade him. So that's something that obviously we all have to work together if that's the approach the city council wants to take, and we would have to determine how to best approach that issue and persuade the district attorney's office to give that consent.
Thank you. If you could accomplish one thing during these 8 months, you can only focus on one thing, what do you think that would be?
Oh, I'm sorry.
One issue. If you can only focus on one issue during these 8 months, what would you like to accomplish?
I think the current, among the fiscal challenges facing the city is the public safety issues that we are looking at. With the increasing crimes and everything else, we are essentially asking our first responders, especially the police department, to do more with less. And having been in the military, we're used to that term, do more with less. But at the same time, you have what you call mission creep, where the society expects more of our officers. There are more demands placed on police officers to do their job. And to that extent that we need to support our first responders, especially the police department, to make sure that they have enough resources to do their job, to make our community safe. And that includes resources to make sure we address the recruitment and retention issue. We have a deteriorating police station that may have to be addressed in the long term. So those are the things that we need, that would be a priority for me. But at the same time, as you indicated yesterday, the city has a budget, and there are other needs and priorities that must be addressed. So although that would be something I would have priority on, it's something we also need to balance the need to address the other needs for the city.
Thank you. So just one final question. Is there anything we should know that hasn't been asked? I know we didn't get much time last night, but just anything you'd like to say about yourself and, like, do you think the council or the community should know about you?
Well, as I indicate in my application, I have lived in the city for 22 years. And, I raised 2 children here in the city. I do most of my activities around the city. This city is a great city. It's very diverse. And with my knowledge and experience, I believe that I can bring additional skills to the city council so we can all together work for the better of the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. That concludes our questions tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so would the council like to take a moment to take a break, or would you just like to proceed with the voting?
I'm good either way, whatever you guys want.
Me too. Yeah.
All right, well then you do have sheets in front of you with the list of candidates. And like last night, if you'd take a few minutes to put your thoughts together and vote for 2. We're not ranking, it's just 2 votes for 2 candidates. Hey, council, does that reflect your votes accurately? We have a scenario, I'll rank these, but we have a scenario where we have 3 candidates that are equal. So now what we will do to break the tie, if it works for the council, is we will vote again, and this time you will vote with a 2 and a 1. So you will put a 2 next to whoever your top candidate is, and a 1 next to whoever your second candidate is, and we're only voting for these 3 candidates. So your vote should be for Mr. Shea, Ms. Rivera, or Mr. Wu, and again, assign a 2 to one of the candidates and a 1 to another candidate. Is that what we decided? I'm sorry, maybe I didn't explain that part at the beginning. I should open it up then for council to decide if that's what you would want to do. So that would be, yes, that would be a weighted vote so that we can break the tie, because presumably everybody's going to vote for their, whoever their candidate they already voted for.
So you rank them 1 or 2.
So the suggestion, and let's all agree before we do it, but the suggestion would be, yes, that you put a 2 next to your favorite of the 2, or the one that you most want to see, and the 1 next to the other candidate, and presumably we would then be able to break the tie that way.
2 points and 1 point.
Yeah.
The higher points win.
Yes, the higher points wins, so you would put 2 points next to one of your 2 candidates and 1 point next to your other candidate.
We need to put on a point, or just check it, or just the point.
So write a 2, so you're going to take the 2 candidates that you've chosen, in your case, Mr. Shea and Mr. Wu, and one of those 2, whoever is the more preferable candidate, you would
Okay.
put a 2 next to, and then whoever is the less preferable, you would put a 1.
So you prefer when it's higher.
That's
2.
right, so you're giving them twice the points.
That's number one or high number.
The higher number should be a 2.
More
Okay.
points.
More points over
Okay.
the higher
All
number. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Oops,
Got it
I'm
wrong.
sorry, please. Don't. We've had a 3-way tie again. Would look for suggestions from the council on if anybody has an idea to break a 3-way tie.
Down to 1 vote.
Start with 1 vote, everybody does 1 candidate, we tally it, and then go for candidate number 2.
I mean, that's the only way to really break a tie unless we all have 3 different, but it looks like we would do that anyway, the way it's ranked.
Yeah, exactly.
The other way would be that we give everybody a certain amount of points, and you're not tied to a 2 and a 1. If you had 5 points, that you could split between 2 candidates, or some other number.
Tie.
That's another, I think that's a good suggestion as well. If we have a total of 3 candidates and everybody ranks them 3, 2, 1.
If anyone's getting a 0 now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it would end up being the same, because whoever has a 2 is going to have a 3.
You have an odd number, uneven to
Yeah.
an odd. 4 would be better.
Get 4 points, and you split them between 3 people or 2 people.
Age match?
My suggestion then would be, if nobody has a better suggestion, that we have 5 points that we distribute between 2 candidates. And you could decide if somebody gets a 4 and a 1, or a 3 and a 2.
But the differential's gonna be the same.
The differential,
I don't think, looks like, no matter you think.
Okay, 3 candidates?
2 candidates. I would say 2.
have one.
You take your 5 points and as city manager suggested, allocate them to the two candidates, but not necessarily 3 and 2 or 1 would be the other option. And that may result in an outcome where 2 will score higher than the
You
third.
can try it.
The worst thing that will happen, you'll be still in a tie. Yeah, nothing's going to change. But it may make a difference.
I don't think that if you set a rule, if you have 5 points for the high score one, the second score is which is 4, 3, or second scores. I don't think it's way. I think final is still higher.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, another approach would be, again, we would vote for all 3 candidates, but
Yeah.
you would have 10 points to divide between all 3. And then you would have to decide to give higher weights to folks, one candidate over another, and that might create a break. Give a 7, a 3, and a 2. I'm sorry, a 7, a 2, and a 1. You could do a 4, a 4 and a 2, something like that, and that might come up with a differential.
I think that's a good idea. With 10 points going for
But
all
you-
3 candidates.
you have to vote
You
for
have 10
3.
points to spend on the 3 candidates any way you desire, as long as you vote for 2.
3.
Well, but if you choose to put 0 on one,
Oh.
No, you have to vote.
It would have to make it so you have to vote for 3, so that there's at
oh,
least
so you have to at least allocate 1 point to the one that,
that'll be the differential.
okay. Is that agreeable to the council?
Well, yeah, I didn't want to rule. Okay, it's a total point. It's a 10 point. So we have to vote 3 of them. Okay.
And you have to vote for all 3, assign at least 1 point to one of them, and spread the other 9 between the 2 that you've so far voted for.
So you would get 10 points to distribute between 3 candidates, and you have to vote for all 3.
Right.
So it could be any way you would like.
Agreement or?
Is that agreeable?
It's agreeable to me?
Why don't we try that?
Yeah, okay, let me.
think everybody can see that we have Karina Rivera with 13, we have John Wu with 9, and we have Richard Shea with 8. Is that reflective of the council's votes?
Yes.
Do I have direction from council to put that in a resolution on Tuesday, the 15th?
Yep.
Vice Mayor Ding, you
Yeah.
have one more item, I think, on your
Okay,
agenda.
all right. Okay, thank you to all applicant, member of the public for their participation through this processing. We're looking for the February 15 City Council meeting where we will formally introduce to the 2 new members of the City Council. So, meeting adjourned. The next regular City Council meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 15, 2022 at 6:30